kids, welcome back to Swifty School. We are going through the poetry of Taylor Swift. We're talking about the literary devices that she uses in her lyrics that elevate the words that she uses into poetry. We're going to be getting into more deep dives of the songs, but I want to get some of these literary devices under our belts first. Taylor Swift uses very sophisticated and very complex literary devices in her poetry. One of my favorites is idioms. Now, what is an idiom? An idiom is a phrase or an expression that has a meaning that differs from the literal meaning of the words that make it up. So what does that mean? Well, it's a phrase or an expression. Something like, it's raining cats and dogs. Now that doesn't literally mean that cats and dogs are falling from the sky. It's an expression to mean it's raining really hard. So Taylor Swift uses idioms in her lyrics frequently. Here's an example. You never know what people have up their sleeves. She doesn't mean literally things up your sleeve. She means the idiom of having something up your sleeve, like a surprise or a secret. The skeletons in both our closets, that's an idiom. The idiom is you have a skeleton in your closet, you have a secret. So she's using that in her lyrics to talk about having a secret. We both have secrets. You always knew how to push my buttons. Pushing someone's buttons is getting a reaction from them, saying something deliberately that you know will evoke a reaction, pushing buttons. We always walked a very thin line. To walk a thin line is to be careful, to watch out, to sort of walk on eggshells. That's another idiom. To be careful, to be reticent, reluctant. Another name goes up in lights. If something goes up in lights, that means it becomes well-known, famous. It's an idiom. Every time you double-cross my mind. This one I love because it's taking a common idiom, which is something crosses my mind, which means it occurs to me, right? It doesn't physically cross my mind, but you think of something. Oh, it crossed my mind to do this. But to double-cross means to deceive, to betray. So she's using a common idiom and twisting it to have it mean something else. This is elevated language. Taylor Swift also uses proverbs in her poems, and they're similar to idioms, but they're slightly different. It's an old saying that gives advice. So it's an expression or phrase, but it's a saying that's in the common vernacular, and it very often gives advice on how to live or how to cope with a situation. So the proverb is time flies, right? What does that mean? It doesn't mean that time physically actually flies, but it's telling you, the listener, that time goes by quickly. You'll be surprised. Time flies. Like, don't worry about it. Time flies. But she's taking that common proverb and twisting it. So instead of using the usual time flies, she's saying time won't fly. Like, this is going to be slow and painful, and I'm going to remember and think about every moment of this. What's past is past. That's a common proverb, right? It's in the past. That means forget about it. It's advice. We're giving you advice to forget about it. It's in the past. What doesn't kill me makes me want you more in Cruel Summer, right? So she's twisting the common proverb, which what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and she's forming a new meaning of it. So the proverb is, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So you'll get through these tough times. It's giving you advice to buckle up, hang in there, kid, right? She's taking that common proverb and twisting it to what doesn't kill you. Instead of makes you stronger, it makes me want you more. So every time you're mean to me, I want you more. It's a very sophisticated, elevated way to use a proverb. Band-aids don't fix bullet holes. We've all heard that one. And all's well that ends well. This is a proverb derived from Shakespeare's play. He has a play, All's Well That Ends Well. And Taylor Swift uses this frequently, and I've been using it in this presentation to say that all's well that ends well. If something ends well at the end, right, it's a happy ending, then everything that occurred leading up to that happy ending is fine. It's all part of the bigger picture, which was something that ended well, a happy ending. Now we're getting into major literary nerd territory with antanaclasis. This is something you probably learned about in English in high school or college. My AP Lit girlies will remember this one. Antanaclasis is a word or a phrase that's repeated in a sentence with different meanings each time. Taylor Swift loves to use these. And I have several examples here. There are many more. If you have a favorite one, drop it in the comments. We could call it even though I'm leaving. So we could call it even as in like, it's even, right? Even though I'm leaving. It's a different use of the same word in the same sentence. Devils roll the dice, angels roll their eyes. Same word, but it's used to mean two different things. Devil, physically rolling the dice, taking a chance. Angels roll their eyes. Two different definitions of the same word in the same sentence. I'm right where you left me. You left me no choice but to stay here forever. So, right where you left me describes one thing, right? But you left me no choice describes something totally different. So the same phrase used two different ways, antennaclasis. If I was a man, I'd be the man. So it's a different use of the word man. And this is one of my favorite ones. You drew up some good faith treaties, I drew the curtains closed. So two different usages of the same word drew. Drew up treaties, right, to physically draw something, and then to draw the curtains, to close the curtains. And that's part 3 of the literary devices that Taylor Swift uses in her poetry. If you have questions about anything we covered so far, or if you want to cover something specific in the next part, just drop it in the comments. Class dismissed.